Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? Awesome, awesome, awesome. I want to say, first and foremost, how much of a privilege and an honor it is to be here. I'm always humbled by the opportunity to stand before you and to share, and certainly to our other speakers. Dr. Tyler, I don't know if that's a book or not, but you need to work on that if it's not. That was amazing. And also to the two that shared, or three rather, Vivid Visions. Those were very, very powerful, and I commend you on that. The Vivid Vision is undefeated. Every single time I've ever heard them, I gotta fight back. A little wetness in my eyes. I won't tell you what that is, but I always have to fight that back each and every time, and it's because of the number of times that I've been here and I've seen the lives of these individuals that share these things, and even some come back and they have accomplished the very things that they are stating. And so there is great power in that. And I do want to commend you and encourage you in that regard. I won't take up much time, but I'm excited to share something that I believe will help us all. I want to take you to a moment in order for you to visualize and to see something, and then I can further describe what this moment represents. But the moment goes back to September 15th, 2002 at 1:15 in the afternoon. There's a young 23-year-old. He's impressionable, still kind of wet behind the ears, and he's standing on the sidelines of Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego, California. And the Jets are flying over the stadium as the culmination of the national anthem concludes, when some famous person's out there singing, and he's standing there with tears in his eyes. And it doesn't make much sense to most people that are standing by, because they can't understand the depth of what the emotion that this young man is feeling. But what you must understand is that this is the very moment that preparation had met opportunity, and it equaled an achieved dream. Again, September 15th, 2002, 1:15 in the afternoon is the moment that, yeah, you figured it out. I was standing there, and it was the day of my first NFL start. You see, but what most people won't understand is that just 4 months prior to that day, I was this close to giving up on my dream of playing in the NFL. All of the time that I had ever been a part of any athletics, all of my life, going back to the point that I was about 6 or 7 years old, I had always been one of the best on every team that I'd ever been on. I had plaques, I had trophies, I had MVP awards from all of the teams and organizations that I had been a part of. And for the first time, I had been told that I wasn't good enough. In April of 2002, I sat in front of my TV after being projected as being a third or fourth round draft pick in the NFL draft. I sat there for 2 days waiting for my name to be called, expecting my name to be called, and it never happened. Everything inside of me was crushed in that moment. My ego, my confidence, everything that told me that I was good enough, and all of a sudden, for the first time, I felt like I wasn't good enough. And literally, I was this close to quitting. 2 days after the draft, I received a phone call from a gentleman by the name of John Butler, who at that time was the general manager of the San Diego Chargers. And he called me and he said, "Hey, young man, would you like to be a San Diego Charger?" And I said, "Yeah, man, I'll be a San Diego Zebra if I can play football." And I walked out there with a handshake and an opportunity. I didn't get one red penny. I didn't get a signing bonus. I didn't get any of the glory moments that I expected and that I hoped for. All I had was an opportunity. Now that you understand that moment, I want to help you understand something else. See, one of the things that I've learned in my life is that although people believe that the traits of a successful person usually equate to somebody being smart and somebody being clever and somebody being charismatic and somebody having all of these tools and equipment and skills, it's one skill set that people often overlook. It's the character trait of being relentless, which is more powerful than all of those other traits that I mentioned to you previously. You see, a person that is relentless is someone that is not willing to give up despite whatever comes in front of them. The Bible kind of says it like this. Now, listen, I've been taking a sabbatical in July. I ain't been at church preaching in a while, so y'all gonna get it tonight. In James chapter 1, the Bible tells us that we should count it joy when we face trials of many types, because the testing of our faith, it produces something. It's called perseverance, which is your willingness to not give up in spite of adversity that you stand in front of. But it goes on further to say that when you have developed this perseverance, it will make you mature, complete, and lacking nothing. Meaning that by going through tough times, you're able to gain something that nothing else can give you. You see, people that are relentless don't just become relentless. It is a process that they go through in order to gain this thing that we talk about. Anybody like to lift weights in this room? I can look around and tell a few of y'all lift weights. See, when you lift weights, there's something that happens that people don't understand. I always tell people, I used to have this group of women that I used to train, and they would complain so much. Oh, this is hard. And the next day they would say, I'm sore. And I say, that means that it's working. Because if it doesn't hurt, that means it doesn't work. What I need you to understand is that part of the process of working out and training is that you must tear down the muscle fibers in your body so that they can be rebuilt and they come back stronger. There is a process that actually is scientific, and it's called hypertrophy. You see, the cells in your muscles, they break down, but what happens when they repair and they come back together, they build a muscle structure that is bigger and stronger than it was before you broke it down. So in other words, the process of what they call resistance training is just that. There must be resistance for you to gain strength. If you don't go through resistance, then that means there is no strength to be gained. So therefore, your ability to gain perseverance or to become relentless cannot happen. So what I need you to understand is that the hard times have value. Everything that you've been through up until this point in your life, I bet you're sitting there thinking to yourself that you've ruined your opportunities, that there is no opportunity for you to still achieve destiny. But I'm here to tell you that that's a lie that you shouldn't receive. You should not believe that there are still not opportunities for you to succeed, because guess what? The fact that you're still alive means that destiny still awaits you. Because when God created you, he created you with a plan in mind. As a matter of fact, he says that he knew you before he ever formed you in your mother's womb. He says that he had a plan for you, that he knit you together. And this plan for you is to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you a hope, a future, and an expected end. So guess what? Despite what you may have done to delay the process to your destiny, doesn't mean that you still can't get there. It's not about how long it takes. It's just about never giving up. I'm talking about being relentless. A woman by the name of Angela Duckworth wrote a book that I would suggest that you read if you have not. It's called Grit. And it talks about this desire and this insatiable thing that burns on the inside of certain people that have the ability to be successful. This is why everybody can't be successful. Greatness doesn't go on sale. It's something you have to go through to get it. I can promise you, if you go to one of these lots or dealerships where they sell these luxury vehicles, they don't go on sale. They don't have rebates for those. They just cost what they cost. It's not like going to the one where they say, okay, well, you do this and that and you can save this. It's not about saving, because they understand the value speaks for itself. And at the end of the day, if you want this, you're going to have to pay the price. See, what people have to understand is that relentlessness is needed in order for you to obtain greatness and to achieve real success. And it's available to each and every person that's here. See, I got to tell you a little bit about what that process was like, because building up from the 4 months from April all the way to September, well, that's more than 4 months, so don't count it. Just pretend like you didn't hear that. All right. But building up to that point, when I felt like quitting, all the way to the day that I got my first NFL start, were some of the most difficult days of my life. When I showed up on the grounds of San Diego Chargers, I walked in there and I was the shortest guy at my position. I was a 6th-string guy, and they barely even knew my name. I remember they would just call me Foxy. I'm like, bro, don't call me that. I didn't like it. But Junior Seau started it, so I just let it be okay. And they would call me Foxy, and half the time they didn't really know who I was, and they didn't know what school I came from. And it was one of the most frustrating things, because I knew that I belonged and I just needed to prove it to them. And so every day I would come in and I'm like, I barely get an opportunity to even prove my value. I'm 6th string, which means that some days I didn't even get an opportunity to show anything. And I knew that if I got only 1 or 2 opportunities, that they better be perfect, because I was expendable and I could get sent home at any time. And so my job was just to be prepared when the moments presented themselves. I was sitting in a chapel service one day, and there was a pastor by the name of Sean Mitchell. And I'll never forget, he was sitting in front of the group and he was talking to us, and he said something that stabbed me in my heart, and it woke me up actually. But as he was standing there, he says, you have to work like it all depends on you and pray like it all depends on God. You see, what that spoke to me in that moment was that I kept trying to do the work and create the results. The results are God's job. My job is just to do the work. My job is just to be obedient. My job is just to exercise my faith. And whether you know it or not, faith without works is dead. You can say you got all the faith in the world, that you're believing for things to happen, but if you're not willing to put the work in with that which you're believing for, then your faith is pointless. And that day I realized I could only control what I can control. I can't make them give me opportunities. I can't make them allow me to get my name called, or for me to be the selection or to be the choice. All I can do is be prepared when moments present themselves, because I need you to know something. Opportunities don't give notice. You're not going to get an alert or a knock at the door days in advance saying, hey, an opportunity is going to come in 3 days. Make sure you're ready. Your job is just to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And not just to talk the talk, but to walk the walk. I had a coach when I was in college, man by the name of Pat Hill, and one of the things that he would say that I never forgot is that your actions speak so loud, I can barely hear what you're saying. That was his roundabout way of saying that actions speak louder than words. And if you grew up in a neighborhood like I did, we would say, don't talk about it, be about it. So it's not about what you say, it's about the work that you're willing to put in, relentlessly holding on in faith to believe that anything can happen. Listen, to close this thing out, I want to give you a quick example. And I got some friends right here. You guys were, a few of you were in my class the other day. So stand up. Yep. I got you. Come on. I need you. 1, 2. Come on, stand up for me. 3, 4, 5. Okay. And I need you all to do this. So stand here in a single file line, and I want you all facing that direction. Okay. Yep. All right. So this was really what the situation looked like too, because I was the shortest guy in my position. But I was literally 6th string. I'd never been 6th string in my entire life. I'm always a starter. I'm always the first guy out there. I wasn't the kid that was standing on the sideline waiting for people to call me and to pick me. I was always the first one picked. And for the first time now, I'm standing in a situation where I'm at the back of the line, and I have no understanding why this is my reality. Isn't because of anything I've done wrong. Isn't because I wasn't good enough. But that's what I began to believe, because I started to embrace the idea that obviously I'm missing something and I can't do this. And it made me feel like giving up every single day. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't feel like throwing in the towel, waving the white flag, and going home and giving up on my dream that I had since I was 7 years old. And there were days where I would come and I would wait for an opportunity, and I'm thinking to myself, how come they keep overlooking me? How come they think that I'm not good enough? How come nobody wants to give me an opportunity? I know that I'm good enough. I remember what my numbers look like. I remember all of the things that I've done up until this point, and they don't see it. And one day I was sitting at practice and I was stretching, and I had been doing some good things here and there. And the coach at the time walked up to me. His name was Marty Schottenheimer, one of the greatest coaches that ever lived. And he walks over to me and he says, hey, he goes, man, Foxy. Ugh. He goes, Foxy. He goes, man, you're a diamond in the rough. I don't know how we found you, man, but I'm glad that you made it here. And he's just like, man, you know, you really are, you know, a good find, and you were a good catch. And I'm hearing all of this stuff. And while this should be giving me encouragement, it's actually making me kind of mad, because I'm thinking to myself, you just didn't know I was here. I've been here. And I got in my head that I belonged. And every single day I went in, And I worked hard as I could, and I did whatever I had to do. I was prepared for every moment. And when the moments came, I took advantage of them. And all of a sudden, I saw myself go from 6th string to 5th string. I was like, oh man, I'm making some progress. And then I went from 5th string to 4th string. And I was like, okay, I really have an opportunity. I didn't even think I could make this team. Then I went from 4th string to 3rd string. And then the rest of the guys that were in front of me were like big guys that had all of this money and that they were famous names. And I'm like, there's no way I got a chance to make it over these guys. But I just kept plugging and doing what I could do and controlling what I could control and working like it all depended on me and praying like it all depended on God. And then I went from 4th string to 3rd string, and I was like, yo, I really have a chance to make this team. And then all of a sudden I went from 3rd string to 2nd string, and I walked in on a day when I thought that I probably would get cut like everybody else, because I went from being number 96 to number 53 on the roster. And I walked in and I actually saw my name on the real locker. I wasn't in the metal locker sharing with another grown man. I had my own locker with my name in it. And I remember that moment when I was sitting there and I went to the first game, and in the midst of the first game, the starter went down with an injury and they put me in the game. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm actually in the NFL game. I didn't even expect to play. I was just happy to be there. And I got in the game and I played the game and we won the game, and we were on the plane heading home. And on the way home, the coach walks up to me and he goes, hey, Foxy, he goes, Harrison's going to be down. He's injured. He goes, so you're up. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, does that mean they're going to cut me? I'm up. My time is up. And I'm sitting there looking, and I could tell he knows that I'm confused. And he goes, no. He goes, you're going to be starting next week. And I'm like, what? I went from being one of the last guys signed on the roster to starting on September 15th, 2002, 1:15 in the afternoon. All right, y'all turn for me. And all of a sudden, the line looked like this. So the guy that was in the back, the one that was the last, thank you all. As scripture says, the last shall be first. But it required being relentless. And if I can tell you anything today, I wouldn't lie to you and say that the days ahead won't be hard. I wouldn't lie to you to say that you wouldn't experience moments that felt like failure. But I quickly learned that it's not so much failure until you actually just give up. Because failure is final. It's just called struggle. And struggle is a part of the process. But if you would remain relentless, I promise you, you'll have the opportunity to see the destiny that God has for you, because his plans, again, are to prosper you and not to harm you. And so I want to encourage you today to hold on, to stay in faith, to know that success is intentional, struggle is inevitable, and faith is essential. God bless you guys.